In the beginning of this story, we are shown a family who are going to the jungle for adventure, but then a deer comes in front of their car, because of which their car has an accident and only that child survives in that accident, whose name is Pit. Pit cries a lot and he doesn't understand anything, but then he comes out of the car and picks up his storybook, but then he hears the sound of an animal coming and he starts running towards the jungle and a herd of wolves follow him. He reaches the middle of the jungle where he sees a dragon and that dragon saves that child from those wolves, and then Pit asks that dragon that will you eat me? And then that dragon pulls his back to him and makes him believe that he is his friend, and then Pit also befriends him and Pit names that dragon as Elliot and Elliot takes him away from there, and then we are shown the city near the jungle after 6 years where we see a person named McMahon who is telling the story of the dragon to the children, and he tells them that dragons are present in the jungle near us and I have seen them. But no one believes him and they all believe him as a story, but then McMahon's daughter Grace comes there, who is a forest officer who also finds all the things of her dad to be false, and she tells her dad that I have spent so many years in the jungle but I have not seen any dragon yet, to which her dad says that it is not necessary, that what you do not see does not exist. Then Grace goes away from there. Then we are shown Pit, who lives in the same jungle, and now Elliot has become his best friend and he always stays with him. They both are having a lot of fun in the jungle, and here we are shown that Elliot has a magical power with the help of which he can make himself invisible, and because of this power of Elliot no one has seen him till date, and after having fun they are returning to their cave. That's when they hear Grace coming and Elliot hides from his magic and Pit starts following Grace. Grace was marking those trees in the jungle which had to be cut, but then Pit sees his compass and he likes it very much, that's why he quietly picks it up and then goes back to the cave where he and Elliot used to stay. Then Pit reads the story from his storybook and they both sleep together. In the morning when Pit wakes up early, then he hears some noise, that's why he wakes up Elliot, but he is sleeping, that's why he runs alone towards the jungle. Then he sees that Gavin was also cutting those trees which he didn't have to cut, but then Grace comes there with her husband Jake and prevents Gavin from doing this because Gavin is her husband's brother. But then Grace's daughter Natalie sees Pit and she starts following him. Pit starts running away from her, but Natalie sees him that he is climbing the tree, so she also climbs the tree behind him, but Natalie didn't know how to climb the tree properly, that's why she hangs from the tree, so Pit comes to her to help her, but they both fall down which injures Natalie. But then Natalie asks for her name from Pit and they both tell each other their names, but while looking for Natalie all the people come there and Jake asks her, why did you come alone to the jungle? So Natalie tells him that she came behind Pit. Grace gets surprised to see Pit because she was like a wild girl, that's why she asks him, who are you and what are you doing here and where are your parents? Then she sees that she has a compass in her neck, so she goes to him to take it, so Pit starts running away from him, but then Gavin catches him and he falls down from the tree which makes him unconscious, and when Pit gets hurt, the dragon feels that Pit is in trouble and starts looking for him, and on the other side, Grace takes Pit to the hospital, and while looking for Pit, Gavin and his friends reach there and in anger, he drops a tree on them which makes Gavin realize that there is someone in the jungle, and he goes with his friends to hunt him, and when Pit comes to his senses in the hospital he sees himself in the hospital and starts running around, and Grace's doctor tells her that Pit's condition is fine now. Grace asks a police officer that how is that kid in the jungle, so the officer says that we will find out who is this kid and where is his family, and until we find out about this, Pit will be kept with the NGO. Pit listens to them and he starts running away from there to go back to Elliot, and on the other side, after treating Natalie when the nurse brings him out, so Natalie goes to Pit's room to see him, but she sees that Pit is not there, so she tells everyone, and on the other side, Pit gets scared seeing himself in the city because he doesn't know anything, that where he should go. He starts running around and calling Elliot, but Grace finds him and reaches to him and catches him, but Pit feels from Grace's touch that he has found someone, and in the jungle, Gavin and his friends see a big tree, but they can't see anything there and they leave from there. Then we know that Elliot was there and he became invisible with the help of his power. On the other side, Grace takes Pit to her house where Pit tries to run away, but Grace catches him and tells him that she was like him in her childhood and she loved the jungle and she considered it as her home, that's why she started saving the jungle, and she promises to Pit that we will go to find your house tomorrow. Then Grace takes Pit inside. Pit was living in the jungle for so many years, that's why he doesn't understand anything, but because of Grace's caring and loving nature, Pit started getting along with him that night. Gavin goes to find Dragon with his friends and he finds a cave under the tree where Pit used to live with Elliot. When he goes inside the cave he finds Pit's storybook there, and when he leaves with the book, Elliot attacks him and everyone starts running away. They sit in their car but Elliot catches their car and Gavin starts firing at him to kill Elliot, but Elliot breaks his gun, but he doesn't kill him and lets him run away and starts following their car because he thinks that he will reach Pit with his help on the other side. Pit was living with Grace and Natalie and Pit become good friends. Grace gets a call from that police officer and he tells her that from the old record, Pit's parents were killed in the same forest in the accident 6 years ago. Grace gets shocked because she couldn't believe that Pit was in the same forest since 6 years. Then the officer says that he talked to the NGO and he will take care of him, so you bring him tomorrow, this will solve your problem. Natalie asks Pit who is Elliot because Pit was talking about Elliot for a long time, so Pit shows him Elliot's drawing that he is my friend. Elliot was searching for Pit in the whole city. Natalie tells Pit that he is a dragon and her story is told by my father, in which he tells that Dragon lives in the north, and she shows him the Star of Drew and tells him that if we go in that direction we will find dragons and that is the real home of dragons. Then Grace comes there and she asks Pit to talk to her alone. Grace says thank you to Pit because she returned his compass because her dad gave her that compass and there was her family photo in it. Then Grace asks him that how did you come to the forest? Pit tells her everything and he gets very sad. Grace says that when I was as old as you my mother also passed away and I was also very sad. Then she says to Pit that you are not alone. I am with you. Pit says that I know that I am not alone because Elliot is with me. Grace says who is Elliot? Pit shows Grace his drawing and says that he is Elliot. Grace is surprised to see that drawing because that drawing belongs to a dragon, but then Pit says that tomorrow you come with me to the forest. I will introduce you to Elliot. Then we are shown Gavin who comes to Jake and tells him to help him catch the dragon and tells him everything about the dragon, what happened to him in the forest, but Jake does not believe Gavin's words, so Gavin goes with his friends to catch the dragon in anger, and we are shown that Grace hears both of them and now he believes that the dragon is really in the forest while Elliot reaches Grace's house looking for Pit. But he sees that Pit, Jake, Grace and Natalie are all with him and they are reading a storybook and Pit is very happy with them, so Elliot leaves there sad because he feels like he has lost a family member, and then Elliot goes back to the same cave and he is very sad. Grace goes to her father and shows him the drawing of the dragon made by Pit, which her father matches with his drawing, which was exactly the same. Grace asks her father what did you see in the forest that day and tell me everything right. Her father tells her that I went to hunt as usual and the weather was clear, but suddenly it was dark and when I turned around and saw there was a dragon. I was very scared when I saw him and I had never been so scared in my life, and I took out my gun in fear and pointed at him, but that dragon did not attack me, and then I realized that this is a miracle of God and I had never seen this before, and we both kept looking at each other for a long time, but then that dragon left, and then when I came back and told everyone about that dragon no one believed me. Then Grace says how can this be possible that I am going to that jungle for years, but I never saw a dragon there. So his father says that you didn't even see Pete. Next day Grace goes to NGO with Pete and Natalia, but she doesn't go inside because the NGO will take her. And then they go to Pete's house in the jungle and take their father with them. And then they reach the jungle and then Pete takes them to his treehouse. And Grace had not seen that tree yet because it was deep in the jungle, and then Pete goes inside the cave and brings Elliot out. Seeing which the three of them get shocked, and now Grace also believes that dragons really exist. Then Natalia touches him and she is very happy. And today Grace's father also brings back his old memories, but then Gavin comes there with his friends and attacks Elliot. Elliot tries to save himself, but he grabs him by the ropes, then Pete goes and kills him, giving Elliot a chance to fly. But Elliot can't fly because he was attacked by an unconscious injection, and then Gavin catches him and brings him to his warehouse and ties him to the chain. At the same place, he calls the animal control people and tells them so that he can handle his charge, but Gavin is not ready for this because he says that he is my son and he considers himself his owner. And says that he will become famous all over the world through this and he will earn a lot of money. Pete is very sad. Pete says that let us both go, we will never be seen by anyone. Then Natalia says that Grace did not know at all that something like this was going to happen. On the other hand, the forest officer reaches Gavin, but Gavin tells the officer that you can only see him and I will be his real owner because he is my search and I have lost him. Natalia tells Pete a way to go to that warehouse and they both reach that warehouse through a pipe. And Pete is very sad to see Elliot in this condition because he was tied to the chain, and when Gavin and the officer open the gate to come inside, the gate is locked from inside. Because Natalia had locked the gate from inside and then both together free Elliot from the chain and try to fly him, but he can't fly. Then Gavin and the officer break the door and come inside, but they see that there is no one inside and they all think that the dragon has flown away and Gavin goes back to the jungle to catch him. But then Grace comes there and she sees that the three are in the warehouse there because the dragon had made himself invisible with the help of his magic and now he had to get Elliot out of here somehow. So Natalia and Pete think of taking him away from the truck and Natalia tries to drive the truck, but then Grace's father comes there and breaks the warehouse and takes the truck out and takes the truck to the jungle at a very high speed. Seeing this, Gavin, Grace, Jake and the officer all start following that truck. Then Gavin, who wanted to stop Elliot somehow, pulls his car forward and puts it in front of the truck, which makes Grace's father try to brake a lot, but the truck's brakes fail. But seeing that he is not braking, he moves away from the front and the truck leaves while flying Gavin's car. They all reach the other side of the bridge and now Elliot flies and sits on the bridge, but Elliot is very scared to see so many people coming behind and in the same fear he starts to boil fire on the bridge so that they all get scared and leave from there. But then Grace and Jake's car get stuck in that fire. See, Gavin comes to them to save them, but because of fire he can't do anything and the car is also slowly falling down, while Pete explains to Elliot that he is good, save them, they have not done anything, then Elliot saves them from falling, but then the bridge breaks, which makes Jake, Grace and Elliot fall down. Seeing this, Natalia and Grace's father are very sad because they think they are dead, but Pete is looking at them with great hope because he believes that Elliot will definitely save them. Then he sees that Elliot comes out flying and Jake and Grace are sitting on him and seeing this love of Elliot, Gavin realizes his mistake, but then all of them see a helicopter that was coming to catch Elliot. See, Pete flies away with Elliot, but seeing Grace go away hurts a lot because she started loving Pete. When Elliot and Pete go to their home in the jungle, they see that it is broken, then Pete tells Elliot that we will have to make our home somewhere else, on which Elliot says that we cannot live here anymore because everyone knows and they will definitely come in search of us again, so we can hide as we used to hide before. But Pete says that what about me, I can't hide. So Pete shows his book and tells him in gestures that now you should live with Grace and her family because you will be happy with them. But Pete is not ready because he did not want to leave him, then Elliot hugs him and they both get very emotional because they did not want to be separated, but they do not have any other option. Grace also cries a lot in the memory of Pete, but as soon as she reaches home, she sees that Pete and Elliot are standing outside, and as soon as she sees Pete, Grace hugs him and leaves him with him and goes away from him forever. And then we are shown that a lot of time has passed and the thought of the dragon has also disappeared from the minds of all people because no one saw that dragon and it remained as a story. Then we are shown that Grace and Jake have adopted Pete and they now live together and Gavin is busy with his work and they have forgotten all the dragons. But sometimes Pete goes to meet Elliot with his family and now they are happy with their family and the movie ends here. And guys, if you want to watch more videos like this, then you can click on the links given in the description and watch them. Thanks for watching.